Welcome to Among Us Academy, the home of the official morning lobby stats, as well as in-depth commentary on selected games. Also on this channel, you can find Among Us strategy guides, as well as tutorials on the latest mod packs and newest maps.
I love you, Among Us Academy. I love you.
Thanks, Steve. Also, I noticed just last week you were thinking about the morning lobby stats again. Here's the clip.
I took the
Counts as a win. Put it on the stats.
Sorry, not that clip. The one from last week when you're playing the new Destroyer 5 map.
I mean, I don't know if this is that great of an accolade, right? But Hafu's got to be the GOAT, like, of any Among Us player.
Have you shielded?
There are lists and everything out there, you know.
It's fucked up, dude.
And usually I'm at the top of them, but I really feel like it's Hafu. That's the GOAT.
I'm going for the ride. I'm just going for the ride.
Is Steve right? Is Hafu now the GOAT in Among Us and overtaking him? Let's find out. Well, the morning lobby restarted 2 years ago on the 15th of June 2022. They started with 8 weeks of vanilla Among Us before they switched to modded and never looked back. We've included all the games they played using the Town of Us mod, which is developed by my good friend Donners. I know you're here for the imposter stats, so let's start with them. First off, let's talk about the imposter frequency. Who gets imposted the most in the lobby and who has every right to complain? Is it 5UP, who's been complaining of his really long no imposter streak recently?
Oh my god. It totally took like a month and a half. We finally got imposter in the morning lobby. Please don't tell me I instantly die. Oh my goodness.
Hate to be that guy, but it was actually a 58 non-imposter game streak. But point being, people want to know who gets imposted the most and the least. Well, here's the graph you've been waiting for. You can see that Overly and Kimmy get imposters so much in the lobby, whereas Steve and Habom rarely get imposter at all. It's also interesting to note that I guess the junk regulars, sort of Kara, Cotilli, Junk, as well as Ifa, who played in the morning lobby a little bit later, actually have higher imposter frequency rates, even though they probably joined when the lobby was expanded and had more players, like 13, 14, sometimes 15. That being said, Skarj, I guess, and reverts him back to mean with having a pretty low imposter frequency himself.
No, are you kidding me?
I mean, I've been collecting dubs, bro.
Imposters have won more than crew.
No, I know. There's been a lot of imposters.
No, I know. It's so much easier. How are you saying it's more imposter? Like,
Yeah, that's weird.
There's
so much more information for crew to sort through.
I think it's very crewmate sided.
Really?
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
I disagree.
It's
I don't think so.
Lobby, and our lobby is very imposter set. You can just look at the stats.
All right. You heard Hafu? She wants us to look at the stats. Well, since the morning lobby reunion, imposters have been winning about 1/5 of the time, 21.38%, and the ratio is pretty much the same since the beginning as well as this year. And crew win about 50% of the game. They're a little bit worse this year, probably because people are a little bit better at playing their neutral killer roles, and the neutral medians such as Jester and Executioner, the win rate has been relatively stable over the last 2 years. Going through the archives, I found this clip before Hafu, expressed her displeasure at the stats, of the morning lobby getting really excited at looking at the updated imposter win rate stats.
I was number 4 on the imposter win rate, and now I'm gradually.
What if we judge by daily then, where you can only do it 3 times?
Am I up there now? Am I on the board?
Yeah, you can only go up and down 3 times.
I'm slipping down.
Where can you look? Where can you look?
Link it.
Where can you look? I want to see the stats.
Oh god,
I don't think it's a real thing.
They do like.
Don't be jealous of me, guys. Don't be jealous.
Competitive.
I like that, Jenna. I like that.
Is it on Twitter, Reddit?
Nope, it's still on youtube.com/Among Us Academy. And like I said then, I will say again now, these stats are just for fun. They're not reflective of skill. It's 2024. Everyone knows that the morning lobby play for content and they're not playing super try hard to win.
He did an updated video this morning.
It's not Annie.
An updated video. Okay, don't tell Hafu. Don't tell Hafu. Don't tell Hafu I'm watching this. This doesn't matter. We shouldn't care about this. Don't tell Hafu. Who cares about these stats? Okay, I'm just looking.
Cotilli, coming in 17th in last place with the worst imposter win rate, is a prime example why these stats are not reflective of someone's true skill at Among Us. She is being really hard done by the lobby, I think, but she's definitely much better than this. She's an above average imposter who's struggling in the morning lobby, and the reasons, a lot of people have weighed in. Comments are on the screen. Let us know if you agree. Next, we have Habom, who has won 6 out of 39 of his imposter games, giving him a 15.38% imposter win rate, approximately 6% lower than the lobby average. Next, we have DK, who has the third worst imposter win rate of only 15.63%, which is approximately 5.7% worse than the lobby average. This probably doesn't come to a surprise for many people who watched him in 2022 and 2023, where he probably wasn't that interested in playing Among Us. The interesting thing is DK has flipped the switch this year. He's absolutely dominating as imposter with a 35.71% imposter win rate if you just count the games in 2024, which is the second best of anyone this calendar year. Glad to see him having more fun playing Among Us, doing well as focusing on his other stuff, like going back to university to study. Next, in 14th, we have Kara, who's only won 11 imposter games in the morning lobby. Again, I think she's one of the best players, one of the smartest killers out there. So she's probably hard done by. Again, you can comment the reasons why you think this is, but she is struggling a little bit as imposter. I mean, how funny is this? Junk actually has a higher imposter win rate than both Kara and Cortilli. I'm just going to leave the slide here and he can, I guess, gloat. But, you know, I think it's relatively well-deserved his position. Then we have Kimmy, who is coming 12th. I just remember every time Hafu used to get imposter with Kimmy, she'd always complain they'll never win together. Obviously, they've had a few imposter wins here and there since then, so they've broken that curse. But Kimmy's actually doing fairly well, only 3.6% below average. Next, you have your boy Alan, who is actually doing pretty average for an imposter, about 2.5% less than expected. He tends to make some really stupid round 1 and round 2 kills, but when he gets going, he actually wins, you know, a few of them. 13 imposter wins out of 69 nice games played. I'm sorry, Steve, you're no longer number 1 imposter. You're actually ranked 10th over the last 2 years with 18 imposter wins out of 94 games played with an imposter win rate of 19.15%. About 2% worse than average. I do really miss those days when you were number 1 in airship, though.
Be in front of you,
Oh, you voted me.
It would have had to have been in front.
You all voted me out.
Goodbye, Steven. Goodbye, Stevie.
I'm just saying,
Well,
like,
guys, I'm not imposter because I would have won.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I didn't win, so I'm not imposter.
You're so annoying.
Steve, for what it's worth, I got the joke the first time you said it. I laughed.
Which joke?
Steve-o.
Oh my god, Steve, stop.
Dude, which joke are you talking about, man?
Shut up.
I actually don't know.
I'm confused.
He doesn't lose the imposter.
Duke of Hocus, thanks for the prime.
Because he's Steve.
Oh, that's so funny that you thought that was a joke. Cherry Key, thanks for the sub. Oh, man. I mean, you look online, you see all the imposter win percentages, right? You've seen that, right?
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, Steve's number 1. I've seen it, dude.
Okay, if the
How am I the highest one on that, dude? That's so funny.
Annie is hard clear
So
because she fixed
undeserved. I love it.
Well, you heard Hafu joking that Steve doesn't lose as imposter. Ha ha ha. Well, Steve literally does not win as imposter this year. He's had 25 imposter games and he's lost every single one of them. That's absolutely horrible. So, like, if you count the stats and you took out this year, he's actually doing really well. It just seems like he's thrown in the towel and isn't trying that much in Among Us this year, which is an absolute shame. Next, we have Scarge, who has a very solid way of playing imposter, roughly average, coming 9th with 8 imposter wins out of 40 games played. Scott, or S Major, used to be one of the best assassins and smartest imposters in the lobby. He still is one of the greatest liars, but he probably has one of the fewest imposter games played, which means he's got an average imposter win rate at about 21.2%. In 7th, we have Fiverr, who needs no introduction or explanation. He has a 7th best imposter win rate with 18 imposter wins out of 83 games played, slightly above average. Next is your boy Koji, who's doing very well with an imposter win rate of 22.62%, good enough for 6th place in the lobby. Also, I'm the editor of Koji's YouTube channel, so please make sure you subscribe to him and check out his content, because all the Among Us content there, those videos are all edited by yours truly. Slipping under the radar sometimes, partially because she doesn't stream much Among Us at all, is Ovly. She has the 5th highest imposter win rate at 24.24% in the lobby, and yeah, she just gets the job done. Very professional. Ifers next, with the 4th best imposter win rate, winning 13 imposter games out of the 47 he's played for 27.6% imposter win rate.
Didn't you use that picture of me? How do I look so guilty? That's my face when I look guilty.
With a 45.83% imposter win rate. When Hafu stretches,
When Hafu stretches. Hold on. Previous spot, third.
still third, Janet. The more things change, the more things stay the same. So Janet is still third best imposter in the morning lobby with an imposter win rate pretty high at 29.29%, about 8% above average. I think most people would figure that Dumdog would be one of the top imposters, and they're right. He's second with an imposter win rate of 30.56%, more than 9% better than average. And yeah, it makes sense. He has probably one of the best grasps of how each of the roles work. He has a great understanding of the interactions, and I think he has just the right amount of saltiness to, get upset if he gets voted out. So he doesn't get voted out that easily compared to the likes of Cotilli, people who are equally as smart as him. So he uses that to his advantage, and he's, doing pretty well for himself. When Hafu stretches, she's pretty much unstoppable. She has the highest imposter win rate in the Hafu lobbies. If you watch her play, you'll notice that, yes, she's not as sweaty as she once was, but I think she's still very fundamentally sound, and she likes to follow core, solid Among Us principles, and that holds her in good stead when it comes to crewmate wins as well as imposter wins. She gets the fundamentals down, as well as being incredibly hard to vote out in a meeting. So that's why she deserves to be number one spot. So to summarize, here is everyone's imposter win rate on a nice clean bar chart. You can see it follows this nice curve, except for Cotilli having a really statistically abnormal imposter win rate. I had to go back a few times to check that it was correct. And yes, the Hafu lobby really does Cotilli dirty. Hashtag justice for Cotilli. And leave a comment if you have any other takeaways from this chart. Seeing that we literally have 2 years worth of modded games to go through, I thought to test a few hypotheses, including, is there any relationship between your imposter frequency versus your imposter win rate? Feel free to pause the video now and leave a comment below if you think there is a link. Like, for example, if you get imposter more frequently, maybe you play better because you get more experience. Or maybe if you don't get much imposter, you win more because people aren't expecting it. I'll be honest, I thought there wasn't going to be an association. And lo and behold, I don't think there is much of a link between how frequently you get imposter and how frequently you win as imposter. In case you're wondering, the next 3 people that have played the most games are Gumi, Z, and Annie. They haven't played a game in ages, but it felt a shame to just get rid of all their data. So here are their imposter win percentages on the screen for your perusal. Now the question becomes, who is the best crewmate in the lobby? Just for reference, the overall lobby crew win rate for the last 2 years is approximately 50.75%. So who does better and who does worse, and who is the most crew AF in the lobby? In 17th place, we have Scarge, who has the lowest crew win rate out of anyone in the lobby. I think this isn't too surprising. I think when he plays crew, he doesn't, push that hard or try that hard. And when he plays vigilante or any sort of like double-edged role, he really goes for it and probably has a lower success rate at those roles, such as guessing as Vigi as a result. And that costs him as crew. Ifa has a crewmate win rate that's the second lowest, despite having one of the best imposter win rates. Just goes to show you need a different skill set for different roles. Also, in case you're wondering, yes, Ifa did join the lobby late, but even if you just include his 2024 stats compared to the lobby's 2024 stats, he still does approximately 3 to 4% worse than lobby average as crew. Now, Junk has the third lowest crew win rate in the lobby. Why? I think his tunneling on Cotilli definitely plays a part, but also his crew fundamentals may not always be the best. I think there are like videos of him not fixing lights or not going to the button, but he plays with fun, so it probably doesn't matter that much to him. Next in 14th is a bit of a surprise to me. It's Kara. She has a below average crew win rate of only 47.6%. And before you say she played like games later down the track, even if you include just 2024 games, she is still about 3% below lobby average. Why is this? I would love to hear your opinions because I think she's one of the smartest crew out there. She manages to deduce different roles, the interaction, what's going on, and she calls people out so often. Yet she's for some reason is struggling in the morning lobby. Next, we have Kimmy, who's 13th best crewmate with a crew win rate of approximately 48%. I think this is pretty explanatory. She does get fooled a bit in the final 3s, final 4s, but, she has a good time.
I do tend to vote out Cortilli more than other people. I do kind of feel a little bad.
Dumdog might feel a little bad. I do too, because Cortilli definitely deserves to be higher than 12th in terms of crew win rate. Also, I didn't mention this before, but Cortilli's going back to work, so she's probably not going to be able to join the morning lobbies on Wednesday mornings. But wish her all the best, and if we do see her again, that will be awesome. She will be sorely missed. Next, in 11th place, we have DK, who's doing, okay as crewmates. If you watch some of the early games back in 2022 and 2023, he probably, borderline throws a lot of those games as crew when he gets to the final. But recently, that's changed.
I love you, Among Us Academy, just so you know. Love you, bro. I want you to know something, man. I love your channel, and I love the good vibes on there, and I love your hard work that you put in, bro. Shout out to you, man. Seriously, Among Us Academy.
Love you too, man. And I'm glad you're, having fun playing as both imposter and crew in 2024. Just look at the difference in his crew win rate. He used to be a little bit below average. Now he's very above average in both his crew and imposter win rates. So good on you, DK. In 9th place, we have Koji, who's doing pretty well. He's made remarkable improvements in his crew game, and he's slightly above average now. In fact, guess who he's tied with? His fellow British compatriot. Same spiel applies to Alan. Used to struggle as crew, now he's doing slightly above average. Good on him. 8th is Overly. She's pretty solid as crew. I think she usually knows when people are lying or when they're telling the truth. And I think that reflects in her above average crew win rate. How the mighty have fallen. Steve used to be the top crew and the top imposter. Now he's only good for 7th place with a crew win rate of 52.3%. At least it's still above average, so we'll take that. In 6th place, so not second like his imposter win percentage, in 6th is Dumdog. Still a pretty respectable crew win rate at 51.05% overall. But let us know why you think his crew game is a little bit weaker than his imposter game, for example. Next, you have 5UP, who has a pretty respectable crew win rate of 54.43%. He definitely knows all the small interactions like needing to vote on 5 when there's an arsonist and, splitting up pairs and all of that sort of stuff. And it's no surprising he's one of the best crewmates still in the morning lobby. Janet is the 4th most crew AF player in the lobby, which is still pretty impressive. Remember, she has one of the best imposter win rates as well. So she's doing very solid. Gone were the days that she was being bullied for getting things wrong. Now she's one of the best crew and imposters out there. So good on her. In 3rd place, we actually have Hafu. I honestly thought she might have been the best crew, given how thorough she is when she plays crew. Like when she plays crew, it's so easy to hear from her voice. Just the way she defends herself is so different than when she's imposter or down to be sussed. But apparently that's only good for 3rd place. Perhaps playing Minecraft makes you better at being a crewmate somehow. That's my best hypothesis, trying to explain why her bomb is the 2nd highest crew win rate in the lobby, and why S Major has the highest crew win percentage in the lobby. He is very, very solid. But, I think he definitely deserves it. He has one of the best understandings of the game, and even though he might not play as much as everyone else, I think thinking back to his games a few years ago, he definitely had one of the best feels for the game, and that goes to show when he's crew. Here is the crew win rate of all the players in the lobby. Let us know if you have any big takeaways from this chart, or if there was anything unexpected here. And just because I didn't want to waste the stats, here are Gumi, Z, and Annie's crew win rates for comparison. Feel free to pause and leave a comment below. Do you think there's a relationship between someone's crewmate win rate and their imposter win rate? Do you think being good at one means that you're likely good at the other? Or is it going to be the opposite, like the case in Ifa, who's very good at imposter but struggles a bit as crew? What do you think the overall trend is? Well, looking at this graph, I think there's probably a little bit more correlation than there was with the imposter frequency and imposter win rate. So people who tend to be better at crew, I believe, tend to be better as imposter. There probably is a positive correlation going on there. And that sort of makes sense, because a good imposter is someone that gets away with kills and doesn't get voted out. And a good crewmate is someone that gets other people, like hopefully the imposter voted out and they themselves don't get voted out. So the skill of not being voted out is very crucial for both types of roles. Here are the overall lobby win rates, again, for your perusal with different types of categories. And you'll notice the percentages don't add up to 100. That's because sometimes there's one neutral killer, sometimes there's two, sometimes there's a Jester and XE, etc., etc. So these are the overall chance of winning from each category. So neutral killers overall win approximately 13.4% of the time, which I think is pretty fair. You'll find that the glitch is actually the hardest neutral killer role to win with, and the plague bearer is actually the easiest to win with. But I think it's pretty balanced all in all. I don't think we need to nerf the pesty that much. It used to be over 20%, but now I think 17% win rate with that role is pretty acceptable. So the next question is, who is the top neutral killer in the morning lobby? It's hard to say who the best glitch is or who the best juggernaut is. It's simply because we don't have that many games for each player to play with those specific roles. That's why it makes more sense to bucket them all into the neutral killer category and compare their neutral killer skills amongst each other. Last, we have Kimmy, who up until a couple of weeks ago had never won as a neutral killer role in the morning lobby. But congrats to her, she got her first juggernaut win, and that makes her neutral killer win rate at 3%. Next, we have Junk, who combined with his natural ability to soak up all the sus, probably doesn't help in a neutral killer role capacity where you want to kill without getting sus. So he's only managed to win 2 games out of 54 for a neutral killer win rate of 3.7%. DK normally struggles with a neutral killer role, only winning 2 out of his last 40, but you'll note that one of those wins was earlier this year. So his stats this year, from a percentage point of view, is a lot better. Once again, 2024 is the year of the DK. It's interesting to note that Janet comes 14th in neutral killer win percentage, winning only 4 out of her 45 games as a neutral killer. This is despite being one of the best imposters and crewmates in the lobby. So I'm scratching my head why she's struggling as a neutral killer. Potentially she's just not familiar with the different roles, or she's just got a lot more reps under her belt as plain imposter or crewmate. And these like third-party killers are still a little bit new to her, having played much less games than a lot of the other regulars do. Right next door is Steve, 13th, with 4 neutral killers, but only having 44 opportunities, giving them a slightly higher neutral killer win rate at 9.1%. Could be higher because he's been robbed a couple, including one where he was a glitch and 5-Up was too salty to call a sabotage for him, but oh well. Cordelia is such a paradox. She's the only player that actually wins more games as a neutral killer as a percentage than she does as imposter. So it's probably one of those statistical outliers that you can't really read too much into, but I thought that was pretty nifty. Again, she's really smart. She understands all the roles. I would have thought she would have done better, but again, the lobby seems a bit biased against her, so she's having an uphill battle. Habon is doing okay. He's won 2 Arsonist games. He really likes that role out of the 19 neutral killer games he's played, giving him a respectable neutral killer win rate of 10.5%. Ovally is coming 10th with 2 neutral killer wins as Arsonist and Pesty for a win rate of 11.1%. Next, we have Scarge, who's won 2 neutral killer games out of the 15 opportunities that he has been presented with. Interestingly enough, 5-Up only has 5 neutral killer wins out of 34 opportunities, which is pretty respectable, but perhaps he might be a little bit unfamiliar because the way these neutral killer roles work is slightly different to the other lobby he plays in, stellar roles. So perhaps that might cause some teething issues. Otherwise, it's a pretty respectable percentage for 5-Up. Ifa just loves killing, and he loves killing roles. Guess he plays Valorant all day, so makes sense. So he's one of the best imposters. He's actually an above average neutral killer with 3 glitch wins and 1 pesty wins. And although he loves the Juggernaut wall, he has never managed to win with it. Now Koji, my boy, is doing really solidly. He just loves the Pestilence role. It's made for him. 5 of his 7 neutral killer wins are with the Pestilence, giving him a total neutral killer win rate of 16.67%. Very respectable, very good job. Make sure you check out Koji's Revenge on YouTube. Once again, we have S Major, always above average, doing really well as a neutral killer. He's had 2 arsonist wins, 1 pesty wins. Hasn't had many opportunities, but he's definitely made them count. Dumb Dogs come 4th in terms of neutral killer wins. He's got a lot under his belt. He's had 10. So a splattering of everything, 2 glitch, 3 juggernaut, 3 arsonists, 2 pesties. He loves his neutral rolls, giving him an 18.87% neutral killer win rate. Guess who's number 3? It's your boy Alan. He has 8 neutral killer wins. Somehow does really well. Although some may argue a couple of those Plague Bearer wins, literal Plague Bearer, probably weren't the most deserved wins out there, but you know, a win's a win. Alan will take them, and he's 3rd in the lobby for 20% neutral killer win rate. Now, you know how we were saying Kara was struggling a bit as imposter and as crewmate? I think she somehow manages to overcompensate that given her immense knowledge of how the neutral killers optimally function. Her experience really shines when she gets either the glitch, the juggernaut, the arsonist, the pesty. Understanding the little interactions, when to vote, when to push out the other imposters is critical. And I think there's such a high skill ceiling when it comes to neutral killers that Kara definitely takes advantage of it. And she manages to overcome, I guess, a little mini bias the lobby has against her. And so good on her for having so many neutral killer wins. Those are all solo for a 24% neutral killer win rate. Great work. Guess what? Hafu lobby's top neutral killer is Hafu. She has 14 neutral killer wins. I had to go back and count them. Wow, like way more than Dumb Dog. So 5 glitch, 6 arsonists, 3 pesty, never won as juggernaut yet. That gives her a huge 28.57% neutral killer win rate. How does she do it? And especially seeing that, like, you would think she gets targeted a lot early on, she manages to survive and absolutely thrive as a neutral killer. Really well done. So here is everyone's neutral killer win rate with the percentages on the screen. You can see that Hafu is by far the best neutral killer in the Hafu lobby, but Kara is doing really well, much differently than her imposter and crew games. And everyone else, yeah, there's a bit of this and a bit of that. Let us know if you have any thoughts in the comments. Again, if people ask, here are Gumi, Z, and Annie's neutral killer win rates. So feel free to pause the video and leave a comment what you think. Is there a link between a neutral killer versus someone's imposter win rate? Surely there will be, right? Because they use a very similar skill set, just one has access to sabotages, whereas the neutral killer doesn't. But is that borne out in the stats? Yeah, it is. It's probably the strongest correlation we've had so far. Someone who is good at imposter is usually good at a neutral killer role. And I guess that makes sense. Like I said, very similar skill set for both types of roles. Next, we have the meeting neutral win rates. I lumped them together because both the Jester and the Executioner, their win or their loss is decided purely in the meeting itself. How do we decide who the best Jester in the lobby is? I'm going with the number of Jester wins because I feel like with some sample size issues, like you'll see shortly, the Jester win percentage isn't that accurate. So I'm going with the number of Jester wins instead. Janet is 17th with only 1 Jester win out of 21 opportunities for 4.7% Jester win percentage, which is also the lowest win rate as well. The good news, however, is it means that everyone, all the morning lobby regulars, have at least 1 Jester win under the belt, which is nice if you think about it. Next, we have Ovely, who's also allergic to having herself voted out, only 1 Jester win out of 16 opportunities. Despite being so votable most of the time, Alum only has 2 Jester wins. That is so weird. You know what's also funny? He's been voted out as an Executioner target 4 times in the morning lobby reunion. So he's the only player in the morning lobby who has more losses as an Exec target vote out than he does as Jester wins himself, where his aim is to be voted out. Next is Ifa, who is slightly below average if you take either his Jester wins of only 2 or his Jester win rate of 18%. We all know that 5UP hates the Jester role, and I guess the Jester role doesn't love him that much either. He only has 3 Jester wins despite having 20 opportunities for 13th or 14th place, depending on what metric you use. He has a little bit of redemption for Cotilli, I guess. Being so votable means that she has 3 Jester wins. That's still okay, and she has a slightly above average Jester win rate, so that's a consolation prize, I guess. Kara is pretty good at Jester. She's won 3 times, but she hasn't had many opportunities. If you go by Jester win rate, she's ranked 7th in the lobby, but overall she's a pretty solid Jester, I'd say. Scarge is also a very solid Jester. He has 3 Jester wins already, despite only having 11 opportunities. So very solid. S Major is very good at directing sus on himself. He's got 3 Jester wins, despite only having 9 opportunities, for a Jester win rate of 33%, which is 2nd highest in the lobby. Now, I think if you survey most people, they wouldn't say Scott is the 2nd best Jester in the lobby, hence why I decided to use the number of Jester wins. That being said, he's probably very underrated at the role. Next, we have Dumdog, who's had 4 Jester wins, and is probably the most likely Jester to be hiding in the vents during the rounds. Well, what does that lead him? A slightly below average Jester win rate at 15.38%. DK is doing very well as Jester. He's won 4 Jester wins with a slightly above Jester win percentage of 21%. Next, we have a Bomb with 4 Jester wins. Now, this guy, I think, is incredibly underrated with his Jester abilities. He's got a lot of Jester wins, and he hasn't had many opportunities to, show his skills, with only 13 Jester games played, with a 3rd highest Jester win percentage.
You were in comms.
Is it you, Eddie?
But I don't know the timing, but if 5-up is
valiant
good...
effort, Hafu.
Oh.
I hate Hafu.
Oh, she's a Jester. That's why.
Hafu doesn't seem to hate Jester herself that much. She's got 5 Jester wins, albeit with a slightly below average Jester win rate at 16%. So with Kimmy, anytime she speaks, she just sounds sus, and that's translated to 5 Jester wins. She's done really well. In fact, she has the highest Jester win rate at 35.7%. Does that mean she's the best Jester in the lobby? I don't know.
This is vengeance, Kara.
We just
Wait, he might be Jester.
I also think so.
You did what? What is it?
Get the win.
You deserve that, Junk.
That's the only way I'm gonna win, because you're gonna make me a bad guy.
He's a gamer, man. He's a fucking gamer. He's an insane Jester. Junk's an insane Jester.
He deserves it. I did not read that at all. I was like, all right, goodbye, Junk.
Seems like every lobby that Junk plays in is believing that he's one of the best Jesters there is. And I agree, he definitely has some insane Jester plays. He's made 6 of them to date. But if you look a little bit more closely, he's only won 20.7% of his Jester games. I'm wondering, does he have better success in other lobbies? Let us know. Either way, it's very respectable, and he's probably one of the best Jesters in the morning lobby as well.
DK, I know you have my back. Hey, idiots! Who's the crocodile bitch now? Oh, did you get Jester?
You all played into that. No, please don't, no. Okay, yeah.
Let's go.
Steve is a very entertaining Jester, and a very successful Jester at that. He's won 8 Jester wins, often in quite spectacular fashion, and has a very respectable above average Jester win rate at 25.8%.
Do you think?
I guess I'm voting Koji, but I think I'm wrong. So
well, you guys threw. Oh my god, you guys threw so hard. What the hell? Guys, are you crazy? It's Dumdog or Cortilli, or it's both of them.
Is it Dumdog? I was kind of.
Wait, is it?
Koji voted himself.
Let's go. To be fair.
So who has the most Jester wins in the lobby? Well, it's also Koji, but I've given him the first prize because he has the highest Jester win rate as a tiebreaker as well. He's had 26 opportunities to play Jester, and he's won 8 of them. That's incredibly impressive. Seems like over 9,000 people surveyed also believe Koji by far is the best Jester in the lobby. So here is the graph of who has the most Jester wins in the lobby. Once again, happy to see that everyone has at least one. And again, in case you're curious, here are the Jester win rates for Gumi, Z, and Annie. We sort of missed Z. He was S tier as Jester. He had 4 Jester wins with only 2 Jester losses. Only person to win more than half of his Jester games. Like, out of the world. Maybe not sustainable, but he was one of the best Jesters the lobby has ever seen. Alright, this video is going way too long. Let's wrap it up. The Executioner wins. Janet has the most out of anyone in the lobby with 4, and then These people all have 3 XC wins. Koji, Steve, DK, Dumdog, Kara, and 5-Up. Havu is slightly below average for ones, with only 2 Executioner wins, and Alim and Ovely have 1 each. The following have never actually won as Executioner in the morning lobby, and they include Junk, Kimmy, Habom, S Major, Skarj, Cortilli, and Ifa. Here's another quiz if you want to pause and have a think about it. Is there a link between how good someone is at Executioner versus how good they are as Jester? Because if you think about it, both of them are meeting related roles that have meeting related goals. So someone that's able to manipulate the flow of a meeting and get the vote they want would be able to excel in both. So perhaps there is a correlation, or perhaps there isn't. What are your thoughts? So I basically split the players into ones that have had Executioner wins and ones that haven't had Executioner wins. And you'll find that the players who have had Executioner wins before actually do slightly worse or significantly worse as Jester, with a 17.3% Jester win rate, compared to players who have never had an Executioner win before. I guess people that are easy targets like Junk and Kimmy and Cortilli, they seem to have a higher Jester win rate. I wonder why that is. Here's another question that you might want to think about. Is there a link between someone's crewmate win rate and someone's Jester win rate? Because, I don't know, are the better crewmates harder to vote out as Jesters? Or are the better crewmates good crew because they're able to dictate the vote and they can subtly manipulate people to vote themselves? What do you think the link is, if there is any? I thought the people that did not as well as crew, like Junk and Cortilli, would actually do better as Jester. But the actual scat plot doesn't really show much of a correlation. Unless that is, if you get rid of the Minecraft boys, and then you can see that there is an inverse relationship. Obviously, we can't cherry pick data, but it is very interesting how Habom and S Major are quite outliers on this graph. That brings us to the overall win rates. So this is the most important thing, isn't it? If any of this is actually important. So if you wanted to bet your channel points on who is most likely to win, then who would you want on your team? Let's have a look. So I've recently gotten into baseball as well, which is why I like the concept of a RAW, or wins above replacement, or in this case, wins above runk, or wins above junk. So how much better is a player's win percentage compared to if you replace them with a Junkyard 129. So Junk is coming at 17th with a WAR of 0, makes sense, and an overall win percentage of 33.1%. Then you have Ifa, who despite having really good imposter games, because there are so many crew games and other neutral games that he struggles with, he has the 16th best win rate with only a 0.99 WAR. Cortilli is 15th with a 34.7% win rate and a WAR of 1.63 wins above replacement. In 14th, you have Kimmy, who you can expect 2.6 extra wins by having her on your team. At 13th, you have DK, who has an overall win rate of 36.2% or positive 3.09 wins above replacement. However, if you compare his performance to this year, he's doing much better in 2024. Yet again, we see DK doing much better in 2024. He's probably the most improved player, now with a wins above replacement of 10.67 in 2024 alone. Skarj is coming 12th with a wins above replacement of 3.09. Next you have Kara, who comes 11th with a 37.2% overall win rate and a wins above replacement of 4.08. Following, we have Ovely in 10th position with a 38.94 overall win rate with a positive 5.83 wins above replacement. In 9th place overall is Alan with a 39.01% overall win rate with a 5.90 positive wins above replacement. Next to him is his British brethren, Koji, in 8th place with an overall win rate over 40% and a wins above replacement of 7.32. Next, in 7th place, is Koji's best friend Steve, who has an overall win rate of 40.9% with a positive wins above replacement of 7.79. In 6th place is Habom, who has a 41.8% overall win rate with a positive 8.7 wins above replacement. 5-Up has cracked the top 5 with an overall win rate of 42.93% and impressive positive wins above replacement of 9.82. So Janet is next. She's doing really well with an overall win rate of 43.41% and a wins above replacement of 10.29. That means if you got Junk to play 100 games and you got Janet to play 100 games, you expect Janet on average to win 10.3 more games than Junk. In third place, we have Dumdog, one of the best players in the lobby. Overall win rate, very close to Janet's at 44% and a positive 10.89 wins above replacement. In second place, we have S Major, very underrated player, very solid as we've established through all the stats. He has a 44.1% overall win rate, very close, with a wins above replacement of 10.99. Congrats to Queen Hafu for being first. She has the highest overall win rate across all the domains at 44.48%. Truly, it is the Hafu lobby. So here's the overall win rate across all the roles in the game, and you can see and make your own judgment calls. Is there anything that stands out or unexpected? Note that I've obviously changed the y-axis just to make the difference a little bit more apparent. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. If you've watched till here, can you leave a comment, maybe using the word seriously in it somehow? It'll be like an inside joke. But just know that these stats have taken hours and days, sadly, to keep and keep a track of all these years. In fact, if you're a data scientist or an analyst who's really good at Excel, I would love to talk to you, because I think the way I'm recording things might not be the most efficient, but hopefully they're accurate and you took something away from this long video.
Yeah, I can vote. I can vote.
And there's a YouTube video. And there's a Steven Septic Among Us YouTube video for Among Us Academy to make.
That's where you reported, right?